word here called mob.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all the demons are. They just a mob.
Right.
And you've not heard a mob mentioned in a positive context.
Amen.
And so whenever the mob or the devil shows up, he ain't there to do nothing good.
Right. Yeah.
And I want y'all to know that we recognize that somebody's possessed when they're in the tomb over there at the grave hanging out with dead folks, cutting themselves, crying in the nighttime.
Yeah.
But y'all do know that ain't the only set of clothes that the devil has.
Yeah.
Because the devil comes to church and he puts on a suit, he puts on a dress, he puts on a hat, he puts on nice shoes, he's got a whole lot of uniforms that he might want to wear.
Amen.
The devil, those demons, God said, go on, get in them pigs. The Bible says that they got in the pigs, and they ran down the side of the mountain, and they drowned in the sea. Y'all keep reading the story, because the herdsmen who were watching over the pigs. Now, for you Bible scholars, clearly this is not a Jewish region here. This is a Gentile region, because Jews don't fool with swine. And the herdsmen who were watching over the pigs saw what Jesus did.
Yeah.
Guess what they did? Bible says that they went in town, Brother Bennett, and they told people about what they saw.
Right.
I want y'all to know they got it halfway right.
Yeah.
Because you and I need to start telling what we see Jesus do.
Right.
Some of us rush to talk about stuff that's not beneficial. Some of us rush to talk about the latest scuttlebutt. Some of us rush to talk about the latest news and what I heard, and forming judgment and opinions about other people's behaviors and actions. But these folk just went back and told what they saw. I saw a demon-possessed man. The demons came out of him, went in the pigs, and threw themselves over in the sea. Bible says after they went told, they came back, and others came back because they, like us too, people just come back to see.
Yeah.
And that's fine. You ought to invite people to just come and see.
Right.
Matter of fact, the gospel says, can any good thing come out of Nazareth?
Yeah.
And they said, what? Just come and see.
Right.
And so they came back to see. Guess what they saw? The demon-possessed man was now standing next to Jesus, clothed in his right mind. You didn't get it. You didn't get it. The man who they were afraid of. The man who cried out all night, cutting themselves with stones. A man who was violent and possessed was now standing next to Jesus, clothed in his right mind. I wish I had time to press it out, but have you ever seen somebody that you knew 20 years ago? And you saw what they used to do? And you knew where they used to hang out? And you heard how they used to talk? And you saw their previous behavior? But when you see them now, and you say to yourself, is that you? Is that you? You changed. You mean to tell me you don't do that no more? You don't go those places no more? You don't say that stuff no more? You don't talk no more? They said, no, something happened in my life. I've changed. Listen, you and I ought to be excited once we see what God has done in somebody's life. I used to be, but now I'm on my way to being better. Why? Because I met him. I can't get y'all excited about that, but listen, I know some folk who I know God changed.
Amen.
I got some people who I know Mama and them prayed for. Big Mama and them prayed for. I know what God can do. If you got problems, you possessed by something, you got some kind of addiction, you got some kind of struggle, you need to really give it to God. I wonder why some of us can't kick habits or overcome some things. Here's what I discovered. We don't want to.
Amen.
It's just a part of it we don't want to release. And we don't give it all over to God. We just say, God, help me not do it as much. This man wasn't partially changed. He was completely changed. Here it is. All the people showed up. They got back. They see this crazy lunatic man now sitting there with some sense, with some clothes on. And they say they got afraid. And guess what they asked Jesus to do? You got to go, bro. Y'all keep reading the story. They said, Jesus, you can't stay here. You got to leave us. The Bible says that as Jesus was getting ready to get on the boat, this is my imagination, but just read it. I'm going to try to paint a picture. I can see in my mind's eye Jesus turning to go get back on the boat. And that man life was changed. I believe he rushed over to Jesus and said, Jesus, don't leave me here, man. He says, I want to go. I want to go with you. Jesus says, well, I appreciate you asking, but you got to stay. He says, but not only do I need you to stay, but I want you to go back home. And I want you to tell your family and your friends what God has done for you and the mercy that he showed on your life. Some of y'all going to go with me here. This man wasn't asking to go with Jesus because he was trying to escape those people. He was really saying to God, Jesus, I want to go with you because there's got to be more to learn. There's got to be more to experience with you. There's got to be some discipleship. God, there's more you can do for my life if you allow me to go with you. And I want y'all to know that ought to be the plea and the cry of us all. We ought to ask God, can we go with you? But it bothered me a little bit that God wouldn't allow this man to go any further with him. But he says, I got another job for you. He says, I want you to go home and tell your friends and your family about God. I want y'all to know that sometimes I thought, God, maybe you should have gave this man a little bit more training before you sent him out to preach. Maybe he should have took a few more foundational classes in theology before you sent him away to preach. God, you didn't have an ordination service for him. You didn't do anything. I don't know, God didn't waste time with sending him through an evangelism class. But he said, just go and tell him. Here's all you got to tell him. You ain't got to be deep theologically. And I ain't trying to mess with nobody. You ain't got to know about pneumatology and all of that other kind of stuff. He says, you just need to tell them what God has done for you. I'm almost finished, but this man who was demon possessed, I don't know if this man was married. I don't know if he had any children. I don't know what his family dynamics look like. I don't know where he came from. But all I know is that this man left that place where he had been dwelling as a crazy man in the grave. And he started on his way home. Do I have any help here? Can y'all see this man going home? Can you see him going home, Brother Jones? Remember, he's crazy. He's been messed up. He's been cutting himself. And everybody knows where he is because they hear him at nighttime. They hear him screaming and yelling, but now he's no longer in the tomb. But he's walking the streets. Can y'all see the people saying, is that him? Is that dude that was used to be in the grave? Is that the guy that's crazy? Is that the guy that was messed up? Is that the guy who was cutting himself? And they started saying to themselves, yeah, that looked like that's him. But he don't seem crazy no more. Where is he going anyway? And they started telling everybody else in the back, y'all, come on out and see this man. And all I know is this man finally made it to his house. And he says, listen, I once was lost, but now I'm found. He said, I once was blind, but now I see. I don't know if you got much out of my simple sermon today, but there's got to be somebody in here that God has done something for you that you need to just go home and tell somebody about what God has done for you. You know God touched your life. You know God brought you from a mighty long way. Know that he lifted you up out of sin. God, you ought to tell somebody. I'm done. One more thing I want to press and I'm finished. But after the man had gone home, he said, tell him what the Lord has done. But don't lose this part. He says, tell them that God had mercy on you. I don't know if we get excited about mercy anymore. What is mercy, Rev? Tell us what mercy is. Mercy is simply this. If I commit a crime, and the punishment for my crime was 3 to 5. And instead of receiving 3 to 5, I got probation.
Right. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Y'all don't know nobody, y'all. Instead of getting what I deserve, the punishment was lessened in my life.
Right.
Instead of getting what that rightfully belongs to me, God says, I'll have mercy on you. I remember being in school, and I was in elementary school during a time period where they would give SWATs. I went to Ridgeview Elementary off of Britton Road, and my principal, I can't remember his name, but he was a big white guy. About 6'6", 6'7", looked to me like he weighed about 280, 290. And I would get in trouble sometime, and I'd get sent to the office. And he would say, Michael, you know that I got to swat you. And he says, well, I'm just going to give you 3 licks. And I looked at him with tears in my eyes. It was just something about the way he swung that wooden paddle. Looked like it came at a high arc. The trajectory was just right. And he swung it with some force. I'm anticipating 3. But he swings 1 time. And I can remember it even now. And all of a sudden, a little whimper came out of my voice. And I said, I ain't gonna do it no more. And he said to me, Michael, if you promise not to do it anymore, I'll just give you 1 lick. And he said, as he let me out of the office, he said, don't tell nobody that you only got 1. And I want y'all to know that when you start talking about God having mercy on us, all of us should have got 3. But God had some mercy on us. As much as you and I have done, God has given us another opportunity. That man had done some foul things to himself and others in that tomb, but God had mercy on him. What should I tell somebody, Rev? Tell them God is a God of mercy. I want y'all to know, I know God's wrath is coming. I know judgment day is coming. I ain't trying to avoid it or not look at it as reality. But right now, God is spreading his mercy on us. Every morning I wake up, God has shown some mercy on me. Every day that I don't get what I deserve, God has shown some mercy on us. You ought to tell somebody just how good God has been to you. Rev, I don't know what to tell them. Tell them that you had cancer, but you don't have it anymore. Tell them that they left you for dead, but you're still living. Tell them you were on your last strike, but you still stayed free. Tell somebody didn't think mama was going to make it, but she's still here. Tell somebody you were without a job for months at a time, but you still ate every day. Tell somebody you didn't know how you were going to make it, but God has kept you. Didn't know how you were going to maintain your relationship, but God kept you. Didn't know how you were going to raise a family, but God showed mercy on you. Didn't know what was going to happen from day to day, but I do know who holds my tomorrow. God has all power in his hand. I'm going to get you home before it gets icy and slick. There may be somebody here today. There may be someone. You need to go tell somebody. What do you tell him? Tell him he saved me. Tell him he kept me. God is a God of mercy. And there may be someone here today. Today's a good day. A good day for you just to say, you know what? I don't know who the Lord is and the pardon of my sins. You can come right now. The Bible says, confess with your mouth and believe in your heart that he raises